Hey, you. Yeah, you. I'm Dozer of the Such Good Shoot podcast, and I just want to tell you how excited we are to be part of the Johners Podcasting Network. It is home to many great wrestling podcasts, such as Wrestling with Johners, Turnbuckle Arms Podcast, Rope Break, our good buddy Whaddya Say with DDJ, The Call Up, and many more. If you want just some of the best wrestling podcast action, make sure you just go to WrestlingWithJohners.com and check everything out. So till next time, I've been Dozer. This has been Such Good Shoot, intoxicatingly entertaining.
The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at WrestlingWithJohners.com.
Attention wrestling fans. You're now about to listen to the band coming down the aisle from the main streets of South Elgin, Illinois, with a microphone in his hand and questions on his mind. This is Whaddya Say with DDJ.
Welcome everyone to episode 45 of Whaddya Say with DDJ. As always, I'm your host, DDJ. You can find all things of Whaddya Say with DDJ on the Wrestling with Johners website. Just go to www.wrestlingwithjohners.com/Whaddya-say-with-DDJ/ You can access all the past episodes of this show, as well as the YouTube videos, and have access to the show on Facebook as well as Twitter. This week's guest is someone who is from the Colorado area. His name is the Irish Extreme, Ronnie Clodfelter. I hope you enjoyed the interview. So just go ahead, grab that drink, grab that snack, and get comfy, kick back and enjoy episode 45 of Whaddya Say with DDJ. And my guest this week, the Irish Extreme, Ronnie Clodfelter.
Ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls, wrestling fans of all ages, this is Gregarious Greg Hansen, and you're listening to Whaddya Say with DDJ on the Johners Podcasting Network. Enjoy.
Alrighty then, we are back with another episode of Whaddya Say with DDJ, and joining me on this episode is someone who, if you are a member of the Pro Wrestling Tees VIP group or the Micro Brawlers fan group, you probably have seen this guy because he's very active on both of those Facebook groups. He is known as the Irish Extreme, Ronnie Clodfelter. Ronnie, how are you doing this evening?
Doing pretty well. Just got done working out.
Awesome. So what did your workout consist of?
A lot of bicep curls and some time on the treadmill for a fat burner, and of course crunches every night.
Now, is this something that you do a little regular, to keep in shape for any upcoming shows you may have?
It definitely is, and also to get in better shape.
Yeah, I need to do that myself a little bit here, so I'm kind of with you on that. So let's get into it. First question, well, even though this isn't, I guess, officially the first question, it's about your workout routine. I usually like to start out my shows by asking all my guests how they discovered pro wrestling, and I'll ask you the same question. So, Ronnie, tell me how you discovered pro wrestling.
Well, growing up, really, it's watching wrestling with my dad back in the 80s. Saturday night main event with WWF, seeing Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man, the early days of them. And my dad always had this VHS that had Gorgeous George matches, and he was like one of my favorite heels. The way he could just work the crowd, have everybody hate on him because he's real arrogant. And then maybe whenever I was 9 to 10, guy moved 3 houses down, and he was a wrestler on the indie circuit, and he set up his ring in the backyard. So 9, 10 years old, friends with his son, we'd we'd get in the ring ourselves, do a little rolling around, and he wasn't afraid to give us 10-year-olds, a pile driver because our head wouldn't even touch. And we'd jump off the top rope at him, and he'd catch us and hit us with that pile driver. And that's really the first time I ever got in a ring, and I was hooked right there.
Wow, that's pretty cool story. So I have not had anything like that in all the guests I've had on here and stuff. So you mentioned Hogan, Savage, Warrior, and then Gorgeous George, which I believe is the first time he's been mentioned on my show. Was there one of those guys that really kind of drew you in, or was it somebody else that you maybe saw when you first started watching that kind of drew you in?
Oh man, like I said, heel wise, it was Gorgeous George. The way the crowd just hated him, and then really it was, of course, Hogan as a little kid. Then getting older, it was more DX, NWO. Flipping the channels. What's the NWO going to do tonight? What's DX going to do tonight? And it was a combination of those two.
So you mentioned NWO, DX, the Monday Night Wars. At that time, were you WCW or were you WWF?
It was a little bit of both, because I was flipping the channels. Oh, there's a commercial, flip to the next one. There's a commercial, flip to the next one. And you see posts all the time to say kids today will never understand that, which is true. They never would understand it. Like they got a little touch with AEW and NXT, but really your people were either a fan of one or the other. It wasn't both. And even at school, non-wrestling fans would be like, did you see what NWO did today? What's Goldberg going to do with the NWO? Or did you see what DX did? Are they really invading WCW? It was fun seeing the non-fans at school talking about wrestling.
Yeah, I remember back when that was going on, though. At the time, it was just getting to the point where it's finally cool to openly admit you were a pro wrestling fan. So it was kind of nice to be a part of that and stuff, because it definitely were some good times during the Monday Night Wars. So how old were you when you decided that professional wrestling was something you wanted to do?
It was all throughout my younger years that I was like, I definitely want to do pro wrestling. Like me and friends would have matches on trampolines, It's definitely something that I always wanted to do. And my later years in high school, my junior and senior year, there was another indie wrestler who had his ring that would do a little training with high school kids if they wanted to come train. So I got a little of that before I graduated.
Oh wow, that's cool. So when you decided that professional wrestling was something you were going to do, how did your parents react?
It was pretty much, the usual parent reaction, where it's whatever, it's never gonna happen, that type of thing. Because my dad knew that there's the indies. My mom always thought of it, just TV.
Right.
But it's one of those it's never gonna happen.
Wow. So when you decided to enroll in wrestling school, did you do a lot? Well, how much research or time did you put into finding a school you felt would be best for you?
Oh man, after I got out of high school, it's a lot of the military, so a lot of traveling, being stationed at different places, moving around. So anytime I stopped and moved to a new place, it was always looking for where's the local schooling at, where's the local academy at. So it was various places like North Carolina. Whenever I was stationed there was a promotion that had their own academy, Underground Championship Wrestling, that now they're defunct, but it got me in the door kind of with House of Pain. It was in Sanford, North Carolina.
Okay.
Whenever I went to Korea, there's no pro wrestling academy there, but there was a boxing ring and a gym. And bumps in the boxing ring are the worst bumps ever, but it was just to get some training. And then moved to Tennessee, Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and Nashville was a 30-minute drive. So went and trained with NWA Main Event down there. They had a
Okay.
wrestler named Steve-O, and they had their own training. So I trained up with them. And then Alabama was close to the Dothan area. So then, of course, Dothan is a mecca for pro wrestling, and got in with Southern Extreme Championship Wrestling Southeastern Extreme Wrestling, SXW. And now they're defunct and got sucked up into the AIWF as I was leaving the Alabama area. But that's really whenever I started to get more involved with shows on the Eastern Coast. A little bit in North Carolina till I got stationed somewhere else, but Alabama is where it started picking up.
Very cool. So first off, thank you for your service. So how did you wind up? Because now you're in Colorado, I believe, correct?
Yes.
Now, how did you wind up there?
I'm from here.
Okay.
So after I got out of the military, it was, the next step, moving back home.
Gotcha. So where did you go for training once you moved back home?
It was up in Springs, and then started getting into shows up there as well until COVID came around, and then after COVID, it's pretty much just working Utah shows, which here in Colorado you hear often that it's best to get out of Colorado to do shows because there's very little about Colorado pro wrestling.
Gotcha. So how far of a drive is it to get to Utah to do your shows there? Since you just mentioned that's primarily where you go for shows right now.
Salt Lake City is about a 9 to 10 hour trip. But it's definitely worth it because Devotion Championship Wrestling down there is a OVW affiliate. So it's Al Snow's watching it. Vince Russo helps with the production. So it's definitely a lot of eyes that you want on you.
Right. Now, have you ever had a chance to work with OVW?
Not yet. Hoping to, really, and because it would be awesome. That's why I'm so excited for these Utah trips, because it gets those eyes on me.
Right. So usually, what kind of crowds do these Utah shows draw?
It's a pretty good packed house, like a couple hundred, and they're really into the shows. Like they get into it, the cheering, the booing, and they got their favorites. It's a solid crowd.
Very cool. So now with like all your travels to different areas, you mentioned North Carolina, obviously, Colorado, doing the shows in Utah and just everywhere else you've been. Have you ever had a chance to kind of work for someone or train under someone who has been on somewhat of a national stage at all? Like, or have you had any interaction with like guests at like a, guest speaker or a guest lecturer, or just someone that kind of shows up to watch a training?
There's definitely seminars. Like whenever I first got into the Colorado scene, Rocky Mountain Pro is the biggest promotion here.
Okay.
And now they're a OVW affiliate as well. But
Mhm.
my first seminar, just getting into the Colorado scene, was Al Snow. And then Utah, one of the best seminars I've ever done. It was Cheeseburger doing the seminar,
Okay.
and then did a Arizona show, Cactus League Wrestling, while they were running,
Mm-hmm.
and it was their first ever internet pay-per-view, and it was the show that made news because Big Cass came back,
Oh wow.
and it was not only Big Cass, but Killer Cross, uh, Thunder Rosa, uh, Crime Time,
Mhm.
JTG, and Shad.
Yep.
Uh, had someone else. I can't remember their names, but it was big stars on the show. And then Cactus League did a show in Fort Collins, Colorado. They
Okay.
used me again, and Killer Cross on that one, Chris Masters, Thunder Rosa again. So, and of course, when you're backstage with them, you start picking their brains.
Right.
My first Colorado Springs wrestling show, Marty the Moth was there,
Oh, I love Marty the
and
Moth.
picking his brain backstage. Hey, what did he think about the match? What did he think about this? What did he think about that? So
Right.
it's definitely something that you do backstage with whenever you get a chance to work with bigger names. Hey, what did he think about my match? What did he think about this?
Mhm. Now, have you found that like your experiences, like when you've had time to pick the brains of these people, like were they good? Did anybody like brush you off? Was anybody like particularly super like receptive? What were some of your experiences like with those big name talents?
Never had anyone just brush me off.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause nowadays it's they're more open,
Right.
because if this guy comes and asks for advice, asks for a critique, he's actually wanting to learn. So they'll be more than willing to give their advice.
Gotcha.
And the biggest one I ever got was in Afghanistan. It was a WWE handshake tour, and it was Vince McMahon. And for their first night, as I'm passing through, I mentioned, "Hey, I'm a wrestler on the indie circuit." Just
Mhm.
that quick. Hey, how you doing? I'm this, and the next day we find out our battalion's flying them, and our battalion knows that I'm into wrestling, so they're like, "Hey, if you go at this time, it's when they're supposed to show up." And me and another soldier, we do a little walk by, and all of
Mhm.
a sudden I hear Vince be, "Hey, wrestler, come here," having a 20-minute conversation with Vince.
Oh wow. And what were some of the things that you talked about with your time with Vince?
Oh man, it was as he was giving his advice as a wrestler. Look out for this. Look out for that. Look out for the promoters that, because he asked whereabouts I'm at. I was
Mhm.
like, around the East. Look out for the promoters who'll be. And after he mentioned it, I experienced it. The promoters, it's, hey, the door was short. Can't get you your money, but what we can do is next month give you a DVD copy of this show,
Oh, geez.
and you know a bunch of what we call carny business.
Right.
And then he's telling me what promoters should do. Like, promoters should always take care of the people first, the workers, always
Mhm.
be friendly, always be open. Like he's just going on, and it's like so much information in just a 20-minute time span.
Yeah, that's got to be pretty cool. So it was there. Were you able to get any time with anybody else other than Vince, or?
Uh, just like pictures with Big Show, Kelly,
Mhm.
and Eva Marie, and that was about it because they had to fly to the smaller fobs to do
Mhm.
their little handshaking session with them.
Yeah. So we always see, like when they do the tribute for the troops and they show like the Vince McMahon and all these superstars interacting with the troops and all that, and you see all, like what we basically see on TV is like what we see on TV actually what you guys experience actually being at these things, or is it just like, is it one of those things that's all edited and made to look good for TV?
It is what it looks like, but with ours, we didn't have no show like that. It's just a handshake tour, and
Oh, so they were just coming to like visit just to see all the troops and
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
Okay,
So
that's still
we
that's
didn't get no huge show, but yeah, they keep everything 100 whenever they show the pictures and the videos.
that's awesome, because I mean, you don't get a chance to hear, a lot of people getting time to interact with Vince McMahon, especially 20 minutes worth, and stuff. I mean, I could just, you know, I'm not a huge fan of a lot of what WWE does nowadays, but I mean, I could just imagine that I just would just kind of struggle to think of, what I would say to Vince if I had 20 minutes to pick his brain and stuff, So, I mean, I'm just sure, that had to be just like one of those feelings that, like, or one of those like things that you'd probably look back and say, this is like one of the greatest moments of my life. I'm sure that's how you felt once you were done talking to him.
Yeah, yeah, and our supervisor, she got a video with him
Mm-hmm.
of her telling him that he's fired.
And how did Vince react to being fired?
Oh, he had a blast with it. Like he in those situations without the camera running, the WWE camera running, he's pretty chill and enjoys the moment.
That's really cool. That's really cool. So obviously now you've been obviously you said COVID's had an impact on your shows and stuff like that. What was your schedule like before COVID, and then obviously now with COVID, how much of your schedule has changed?
Oh man, before COVID there was 2 promotions here in Colorado I was working, and Utah was sporadically.
Mm-hmm.
And now with COVID, after COVID, it's Utah trying to get out there every month. Though I've had some bad luck that
Mm-hmm.
some of the vlog that I post about has talked about the bad luck, and but now it's Utah wants me every month because the crowd likes me. I
Mm-hmm.
even won a fan vote for 2020's special guest of the year,
Oh,
beating Al
cool.
Snow, beating Glacier, and I was like, okay, I beat these guys. How the hell did that happen?
so so one of the things I mentioned, because you talked about Al Snow, and I've actually had a friend of mine who I had on, I believe it was episode 2 of my show. His name is Steve Michaels, and he actually wrestles for OVW, and he spoke very highly of Al Snow. When you worked with had a chance to work with Al Snow, what was he like?
He is very open with giving advice, like the
Mhm.
seminar. This because I haven't done a Utah show with him yet. Hopefully soon. But
Uh-huh.
the seminar, we never even got in the ring. Like he had a 2-hour time limit that he actually
Mhm.
went over the 2 hours, and he talks and gives out great information. Like I had 3 pages full of notes from just all the information he was putting out. But
Wow.
whenever he puts stuff out, he'll have a story to go along with it. And
Mhm.
so he goes over his 2 hours, and they have to get ready for a pay-per-view show. So, but that's what it is he has so much information. It's like he probably forgot more than I will ever know.
Right. Yeah, I hear a lot of good about him. I've met Al a couple times. Really good dude, and definitely, has a great mind for the business. And obviously, he's doing a lot of really good things for as the owner of OVW, because I mean now they're on pay-per-view. They have live TV and stuff. And I mean, it just seems like OVW is really starting to make some moves. And I mean, it's nice that you're kind of getting. Hopefully, one of these days we'll see you on OVW TV.
Yeah. I'm hoping to get on OVW and hopefully sometime bigger like AEW, because I have so many friends that's on the dark episodes,
Okay.
and dark elevation. Like
Mhm.
the guy who owns Devotion Championship Wrestling is Manny Smith, who debuted a couple weeks ago.
Oh,
Uh,
cool.
his wife is Reka Tahaka, that has had several episodes. Roman Roselle and Derek, the military tag team that was on last week.
Okay.
That was my last match in DCW. My tag partner actually bailed on me in the ring, left me 2-on-1 against them.
Well, that wasn't very nice.
No, but it was a fun match. And Ryzen, he's from Colorado.
Okay, yeah, he's definitely one of those ones that sticks out because he's got a really unique look.
Yeah, and he's a really awesome dude. He got started here in Denver years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe 7 years ago. He got started here in Colorado, and he's an awesome guy. Abaddon's from Denver.
Yep. She scares me.
The one show that I did that she was also on,
Mm-hmm.
she comes in the locker room, sweet, nice, sweetest person, and then she puts on the makeup, and it's like, okay, now I'm gonna have nightmares tonight. Like,
oh man. So you mentioned AEW, like dark and dark elevations. Like, what is it like when you see people that people you consider friends, people that you've worked with on these shows? Like, how does that make you feel, seeing people that you work with kind of get their chance to shine on the national stage?
first thing is happy as can be for
Mm-hmm.
them. Like I'm like, okay, once I get off, I'm gonna make sure I watched that episode, watch my friends on there perform,
Mm-hmm.
get their big opportunity, and then it dawns on me, they made it, so it's gonna push me even harder to get better so I can make it.
Right attitude to have there. So I gotta ask again. You're known as the Irish Extreme. How did that come about?
Whenever I started in North Carolina, UCW, they had a hardcore title, and well, my first show, it was a multi-man match elimination for the hardcore title, and
Mm-hmm.
they're like, you know what, you're doing great in training. Let's put you in the hard. Let's put the belt on you. Think of a name. So it started out. My first name ever was Extreme Ronnie Clod,
Okay.
and I would come out looking like Just Incredible did back in the ECW days, where it's a tank top and the jean shorts.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And then they paired me with a buddy of mine who also started training at the same time as a tag
Mm-hmm.
team also, and we called ourselves the Extremists. Something we can't use these days nowadays, because people would be like, "Oh, extremists, we can't have that." But
Right.
he came out with face paint, all goth looking, as the Dark Warrior, and we just had fun. We also entered into the House of Pain training also together, and then moving other places, I decided to throw in a little bit of the Irish heritage into it and become Irish Extreme.
Ah, okay.
The Extreme was always there.
Just the Irish part came a little bit later.
Yep.
Gotcha. So, one of the things that I kind of seen from you, especially in the Micro Brawlers fan group, which is run by my friend Nick Carpenter, who does the wrestling nerd broadcast with Dave Canning and Ryan Crossley. You're very active in the Micro Brawlers collection. So I got to ask, how did you get hooked on the Micro Brawlers? Like, what was it? What turned it from just something that was in the crate into like what I like to call them Pokemon? You know, where you got to have them all. Like, what did it for?
I would say it was my first crate, because I was like, okay, what are these crates like? So finally, I got my subscription to it last summer, and my first crate was the Honky Tonk Man Micro Brawler.
Nice.
And just see it like, oh, it's kind of cartoonish, but not too cartoonish. Like, still shows their character. So let me get more. So that I got back then they had the bundle packs.
Right.
So I ordered a bundle pack of 4, and it had Macho King, Tommy Dreamer, Kamala, and it's like, okay, now I'm getting more. So then all of a sudden the bug hits. Oh, gotta get more.
Yep.
It just gets addictive. And then whenever I got what was the first? Was it the Kurt Angle was the first limited edition one?
Yes, I believe that the Kurt Angle one. Yeah, the Kurt Angle was the first one.
Whenever I got the Kurt Angle one, I was like, oh, let me see how many more of these limited edition ones I could get. Because then here came Owen Hart. Here came, and I was like, okay, this is pretty easy. And then Kevin Nash, I missed out because I was driving for work, and I just stopped and I checked. I was like, oh man, I just missed it like a minute. Apparently someone ordered doubles, and Ryan Barkin is like, try again now. And sure enough, there was another one.
So how complete is your collection right now as of this recording?
Not complete, because the past ones that I missed, I'm not too concerned with. It's getting the more current ones. And even with AEW ones, there's some I could do without.
So you just get the ones that you like. You're not a completist.
No. Like there's ones I could do without. Like what was the one, the ROH one?
Oh, you had Danhausen and Session Moth Martina.
Yeah, I didn't get Session. I just got Danhausen.
Okay, very cool. Did you get the one that the limited release for the Danhausen with the cape? Did you manage to get one of those?
No, I was like, I already got one. I don't need another one.
Gotcha. So kind of get into more of the current product nowadays. Are you I know you mentioned AEW, Dark in Elevation, so I'm assuming you still watch AEW. Do you follow like WWE, NXT, and all the other promotions as well?
I'll catch up on like highlights, but like switch it to the shows. It's hard to watch the product for WWE.
Agreed.
Like the last pay-per-view I didn't get, or I didn't watch, and I'm glad I didn't, because even though it was a promotion thing, the whole zombies, and people would have pointed out like, oh, what about Abaddon? Abaddon, they clearly say she's not a zombie. She just does it for a psychological advantage.
Right.
but like it's like the Rey Mysterio eye thing.
Yeah.
Like, they had their cartoon era back with like Papa Shango, you know,
Mhm.
Person Ultimate Warrior, but
Yep, I
now
remember
it's
that.
like when you got AEW where it's wins and losses matter, you know, make it more sport elevated to where WWE is now throwing in more zombies or what have you. And then they'll take a person like the Fiend, where he's supposed to be unstoppable, and then have Goldberg beat him.
I hated that. I hated when that happened. I was so mad.
I think a lot of people were.
Yeah. I don't think I was as mad at that though as I was with the zombie thing. That just that was so infuriating.
I heard the best part about the zombie match was it was short.
And it really is a shame because I mean you know, I feel for, you know, Damian Priest. I feel for the Miz, who, you know, unfortunately looks like he suffered. I don't think it's been officially revealed, but it looks like he may have suffered a torn ACL in that match.
Yeah.
Thankfully, not as a result of those issues with the zombies, from what I heard, but still just that. And then, you know, John Morrison. All three of those guys are so much better than having to be relegated to something like that. But okay, so we talked. You know, you mentioned how it was a promotion. It was a way to promote Batista's new movie, Army of the Dead. Did you get a chance to watch that?
I watched it yesterday, and I actually enjoyed it. It was a fun movie, and
I agree. I liked it too.
And there was a different take on zombies. Like the alphas could actually think, could actually plan, and then there's actors that I didn't know was going to be in there. I was like, hey, it's Ghost for Power. All this time I thought his tattoos in the show Power was just for the show, but they're the big wing tattoos actually on him. And had the guy that played John Dory from Fear of the Walking Dead. Like, really? If you had
Yeah, I saw that name like when it was going across the credits, and like I watched The Walking Dead. I haven't gotten into like been able to really get into Fear the Walking Dead, and you know the other one that just came out recently and stuff. But I recognized the name Garrett Dillahunt, and I was like, oh, okay, he's in this movie and stuff. But yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and definitely the way it ended. I'm not going to spoil it for those who haven't watched it yet, but the way that it ended, it definitely leads me to believe there is another one coming.
And Zack Snyder, great filmmaker. That I hope there's another one.
Agreed, because I don't get much into those types of movies, but I did like this one, and then I also liked Zack Snyder's when he did Dawn of the Dead back. I believe that was like in 2004 or something like that. That was really good as well too. And that's
this movie just reminded me of the Left 4 Dead video games. I believe it was Left 4 Dead, where you have all these crazy weapons, like the guy's buzzsaw weapon he uses in the movie.
That was so cool.
It's like one of those video games where you create these crazy weapons just to kill the zombie.
Yeah, that or like Dead Rising was another one where you know that was So talking about like all the current product and everything like that, who are some of the guys amongst all the different organizations, WWE, AEW, Ring of Honor, Impact, MLW, whatever, who are some of the guys that currently wrestle that you're a fan of?
Definitely Omega.
Mm-hmm.
Because some people don't think that he's good, but those of us in the business, we watch him, and just even like the way he hits the ropes, the motion, the crisp motion he does whenever he hits the ropes is just out there. Like he puts an accent on every move he does to make it pop. Jericho is definitely one, because the way he always reinvents himself.
Yep.
And the way he gets wrestling out into more venues with his rock band Fozzy, his new rock band Quarantine, the Chris Jericho cruise. The next cruise will be my second Chris Jericho cruise.
Nice.
And WWE really, Orton's still there, still doing his thing. The Miz is a good heel. Ring of Honor, Danhausen is a great character. Gresham with the whole peer that they're doing.
I love Jonathan Gresham. He's one of my favorites in Ring of Honor.
Yeah. Impact would be Trey Miguel right now and Sammy Callahan.
Oh, Sammy's been on fire.
Yeah, he's been that botch where he hit Eddie Edwards. That made both of them into bigger stars.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree.
One mistake turned someone into a huge star. And with Trey Miguel, like him coming back, reinventing himself. Fire and Flavor, they are great on the women's circuit for them. And it's just so much great talent out there that I'm one where I'm hoping the partnership with AEW and Impact leads to like Violent by Design invading Dynamite.
Right. So talking about that partnership with AEW and Impact, do you feel like, because in my opinion, the only things we've really seen is we've seen Omega and AEW, and we've seen the Good Brothers, or we've seen Omega and Impact, the Good Brothers in AEW. I mean, right at the beginning, you had Private Party show up on Impact, but you really haven't had a chance to see any like Impact guys show up on AEW again, other than, the Good Brothers and stuff. And I mean, do you feel like that, like if you were in charge of this, would you put more Impact guys on AEW, or put more AEW guys in Impact to kind of give, make it feel more like a crossover type thing?
At the beginning, I would have, but where it's at now, I have a feeling that because AEW, the Bucks, Omega, Cody, they learned from New Japan on playing the long game, their long storylines. Like the whole Moxley Omega started at the first pay-per-view, Double or Nothing. It started from there to building all the way to the Omega winning the AEW championship. That was the long game. And so they learned that from New Japan. So I'm hoping that the whole major crossover happens after Omega beats Moose.
I hope so too, because I definitely would like to see more Impact guys than AEW in that. So yeah, let's start wrapping it up here, and just a couple more things. What would you say is the best match you yourself have ever had? Like, and who was it against? And then what made it so like special to you?
The best match. Wow. I don't really think there's a best match yet. Like the last match with the people, Romy Roselle and Derek, that was a good match because it was me doing big bump after big bump after big bump. Something that shows, this guy could take an ass kicking. But there's been some good matches. Actually it was May of last year.
Okay.
There was all day marathon. There was like 3 separate shows. It was a marathon to help out hospice company.
Okay.
The match where me and my tag partner at the time defended our belts, and that was memorable because it was, to help out a good cause. The battle royal I had for CLW, because that's the match that Big Cass made his appearance for CLW, on an internet pay-per-view. It I don't really have best matches, it's more like memorable matches,
Okay,
if that makes sense.
that makes perfect sense.
And it's really, I don't want to be, one of the ones like this match was awesome, I want to just keep it, more memorable.
Gotcha. So one last question I have here, and then I'm going to give you a chance to plug some stuff. If you had the opportunity to wrestle anybody, one of the from one of the major companies in any kind of match at any arena, who would you be? What kind of match would it be, and where would it be?
Whew. Wow. So many choices. uh I would say either Mox or Janela,
Okay.
and let's have it be a lights out unsanctioned match.
Ooh.
Because Colorado has a death match scene, and
Mhm.
it'd be considered like death match light
Mhm.
that Primos was doing, called Neon Lights Bar Fights, where it's
Okay.
no ring in a small bar, no ring, so you're taking bumps on the floor
Ooh.
with weapons thrown everywhere. And that was my first time ever working with staples, which I'm like, I don't feel it. I gotta sell the shit out of it. So,
So the
so yeah,
staples don't actually really hurt that much?
no, it might be my adrenaline, but getting a dollar bill staple to my head, and I'm like, I don't feel it. I gotta scream like I gotta sell it.
Right.
But it was fun to where, yeah, I would do a lights out unsanctioned match.
Cool. All right. All right. Well, before I let you go, I always like to give my guests a chance to plug any upcoming shows, and then if you have, a way for people to buy your merchandise and stuff. So the floor is yours. You got any shows coming up?
Next show is June 12th in Salt Lake City, Utah. Devotion Championship Wrestling at their TV tapings.
Okay.
Uh, and it'll actually be me debuting my new gear. A little
Ooh,
bit of a new attitude for the Irish Extreme.
awesome. And then anything beyond that show?
Uh, Nothing really. Just whenever the next Utah match is after that next show.
Gotcha. And then one other thing, a way that people can show their support for you. How can they get your merch?
At prowrestlingtees.com/Irish Extreme.
Awesome, awesome. All right, well, Ronnie, my friend, I want to take a minute here to thank you for taking some time out of your night to chat with me. I know you had a long day between work and working out and stuff, so I thank you for the time. Best of luck to you in the future, and have a great night.
You too.
Awesome.
Hello there, wrestling fans. It's John Bolt, owner of Chicagoland Championship Wrestling, and you're listening to What Do You Say with DDJ.
Ronnie, thank you so much for coming on and sharing some really cool stories. I especially liked your story about Vince McMahon, and I hope the audience did as well. You can follow Ronnie on social media. He is on Facebook. Just type in Irish Extreme, and that's Xtreme. He's got a fan page on there where he keeps all his fans up to date on his whereabouts. He's also on Twitter at Irish Extreme, Xtreme. And then he has a YouTube channel called Xtreme TV, spelled the same way, Xtreme. So yeah, definitely go check it out. Before I go, I just want to thank everyone for your continued support, and I want to thank the man behind the network. I want to thank John Scott from the Johners Podcasting Network for bringing me on to this wonderful group of shows. And yeah, definitely go check out the site, wrestlingwithjohners.com. You can access all the shows on there, and a lot of really great shows there. So please give it a listen, or give it a check out. All right, well, that's all the time I have for this episode of What Do You Say with DDJ. I'll see you in a week with a brand new episode. Thanks, everybody.
Here at Toiletside Wrestling Talk, we interview the top wrestling stars on the independent wrestling circuit, with questions including, who exposed you to wrestling? Were you nervous the night before your first day of training? Did your family support your wrestling dream? Are you a witch? For $700,000, would you legally marry a horse? Have you ever cried from a Vin Diesel movie? These questions and much more on Toiletside Wrestling Talk.